Hello students, welcome to MGC Learning. Today we are going to learn chapter number 1 of economics, that is Introduction to Microeconomics and Macroeconomics part 3. In earlier two videos, that is in part 1 and in part 2, you have learned about microeconomics in detail. Now in this video we'll learn about macroeconomics in detail. The topics which we are going to cover in this video are introduction of macroeconomics, meaning of macroeconomics, definition of macroeconomics, and scope of macroeconomics. The word macro is derived from the Greek word makros, meaning large or aggregate or total. Therefore, it is a study of aggregates covering the entire economy. It is a modern approach. It deals with the study of economy as a whole. It is therefore aggregative economy. It deals with the study of economy as a whole. Macroeconomics is also known as income analysis. Macroeconomics is known as theory of income and employment or simply as income analysis. What is macroeconomics? Macroeconomics is the branch of economics which analyzes the entire economy. Now, in earlier videos you have learned about microeconomics. Microeconomics deals with the small part of the national economy. It studies the economic action and behavior of individual units, such as individual consumer, individual producer, or firm. So, in microeconomics, when we learn about individual firm or individual household. But in macroeconomics, we learn about the study of aggregates covering entire economy. Means we are learning about the entire economy. That is not about single individual, but a nation's economy. It deals with the total employment, national income, national output, total investment, total saving, general price level, interest rates, inflation, trade cycles, business fluctuations, etc. Now here you can see we have used the word total employment, national income, national output, total investment, total saving. So we are not talking about just saving, but we are talking about total saving. We are not talking about income, but we are talking about national income. We are not talking about normal employment, but we are talking about total employment. Why? Because in macroeconomics, we are learning about nations, about a nation. That is problem of a nation. That is how more economy, more employment can be generated in an economy. How more employment, more income, more saving can be generated in an economy. And this can be done with the help of macroeconomics understanding. Macroeconomics is a study of aggregates. As I told you before, it is study of the entire economy. Here you can see a tree and forest. It is so macroeconomics is not a study about single group or single individual. It is a study about economy as a whole or nation as a whole. Here some are the definitions given by professors or economists. This definition is given by Professor J.L. Henson. As per him, macroeconomics is that branch of economics which considers the relationship between large aggregates such as volume of employment, total amount of savings, investment, national income, etc. There is one more definition given by Professor Carl Shapiro. Macroeconomics deals with the functioning of the economy as a whole. That is once again, here it deals with the study of aggregates covering entire nation. See. Now let us understand scope of macroeconomics. Scope of macroeconomics includes theory of income and employment, theory of general price level and inflation, theory of economic growth and development, macro theory of distribution. Now, under theory of income and employment, you can see there is consumption function and investment function. And further, they are related with the theory of business cycle. We'll see that each thing in detail. Let us see theory of income and employment. It explains the factors which determine the level of national income and employment. Now, when we talk about theory of income and employment, we need to understand how income will be generated in a country. Income is generated when there are more people employed in the country. More the people are employed in a country, more income will be generated. I'll give you an example. Let's take there are two houses. In both the houses, there are six members. And in one of the houses, there are four members who are working, and one of the house there are two members who are working. Now, where more money will be generated? Obviously, where there are four people working in the house. So when more people are working, means more income they have. They can do more saving, they can do more investment, they can increase their lifestyle, right? Same way, in a country when there is more employment, there will be more income generated. This income contributes to national income. It is called as national income, and this national income will further help to improve a country's status. That is, country can go to for the further growth and development. Now, this income and employment, they are basically depends upon aggregate demand and aggregate supply. Now, once again, I am not using word demand and supply. I am using word as aggregate demand and aggregate supply. Why? Because we are talking about a country's economy. Okay. Factors that causes fluctuations in the level of income, output and employment. Now, aggregate demand and aggregate supply, why they are important? Because more there is demand, more will be supply. When more will be demand, when more people are employed, they have money, then only they can demand. And when there is more demand, there will be more production, and more production leads to more supply. And overall, they contribute more to the country's economy. Theory of income and employment helps us to study consumption function, investment function, and business cycle. You can see pictures of hospital, school, park. Who builds that? Government. And why does government do that? Government does that for the welfare of the people. So that is investment. What government is doing? There are basically two types of investment. One is public investment, one is private investment. Public investment is done by the government, and that is mostly for the welfare of the people and less profit oriented. Private investment are done by the private firms, and they are more profit oriented. Now, let us see about the consumption function. Consumption function describes the relationship between consumption and disposable income. Now, what is disposable income? Disposable income is that income which is left after paying of your taxes. So, whatever income is left after paying of your taxes, that is called as disposable income. It includes autonomous consumption and induced consumption. Now, we will understand what is autonomous consumption and induced consumption. Autonomous consumption means something which you cannot avoid, which is compulsory. That is your necessities. Now, for example, when we talk about food, clothing, and shelter, can you avoid that? You cannot avoid. So, that is autonomous consumption. Irrespective of you have money or you don't have money, you need these basic things for consumption. That is your autonomous consumption. And induced consumption is something which depends upon your level of income. More the income, more you want to spend, less income, you spend less. That is induced. That depends upon your wish. If you want to spend more, if you want to spend less. But autonomous consumption is something which you cannot avoid, that has to be consumed irrespective of money, how much money you have. And investment functions, as I told you before, it is either done by the government or done by the private firm. Now, one more thing, that is, we have seen here business cycle. we have seen here theory of business cycle, right? So theory of business cycle, that is ups and downs in the business. Ups and downs in the business, that depends upon the inflation and deflation of a country. We will see that also in detail. Now, what is inflation and what is deflation? That we have already learned in standard 11, but we will just refresh it, we will recall it. Inflation is that state of an economy where prices of all goods and services increases beyond certain limit. Purchasing power of the money decreases. This state is called as inflation. Now, inflation, opposite of inflation is deflation, where prices of all goods and services decreases and purchasing power of the money also decreases. Deflation creates gap. uh, Deflation creates unemployment in the country, and inflation creates gap between rich and poor. Deflation creates unemployment in the country as people cannot buy anything. There is less production. Less production leads to less employment, so more and more people become unemployed. And for inflation, I'll give you one example. Like, for example, your grandparents, you remember, they must be saying that in there when they were young, the in 1 rupee they used to get many things, but now same from 1 rupee, can we buy the things they used to buy before? No. This is the state of inflation. Now, second aspect or scope of macroeconomics is theory of general price level and inflation. We have already seen what inflation is. General price level means in a country there has to be a general price level, not too high, not too low. This general price level and inflation shows how the general price level is determined and further explains what causes fluctuations in it. This theory helps us to understand the problem of inflation and deflation. When a country is facing a problem of having too high prices or too low prices, that can be understood with the that can be understood with the understanding of macroeconomics. And for that, we need to understand inflation and deflation. Then comes theory of growth and development. Macroeconomics explains the causes of underemployment and poverty. Now, how growth and development is important. If a country is growing or developing, there will be more employment opportunities and more people will be employed. If there is a state where people are not employed, means less income will be generated and there will be underemployment in the state, which can lead to poverty in the country. Students, when we learn about macroeconomics, we need to understand that all the aspects, that is national income, total employment, total saving, total investment, everything depends on everything. It, like in microeconomics, you have learned that they are not dependent on anything. All other things remain constant. That is partial equilibrium analysis that is followed in microeconomics. But in macroeconomics, we follow general equilibrium analysis. That means everything depends on everything. See, we cannot say that a country will grow even if there is less of national income, or else a country will, if even if a country has high level of low level of employment, still country is having high level of income. Is it going to be possible? It is not going to be possible. So everything depends on everything. More will be the employment opportunities, more will be the national income, more growth a country can have, it can lead to more development, more production, more demand, more supply. Everything depends on everything. Here we are learning two new words, that is accelerate, which means to increase, and fluctuation, which means keeps on changing. In theory of general price level and inflation, we need to understand that in a country there has to be a general price level which is affordable for normal people. And when a country is facing a problem of like inflation or deflation, with the help of macroeconomics, government can understand the problem, and accordingly government can suggest different measures to overcome the problem. Then the subject matter or scope of macroeconomics, that is macro theory of distribution. Now when national income is generated, it is generated through the factors of production. Which are the factors of production? That is land, labor, capital and entrepreneur. And the shares which they give in the economy, that is respectively rent, wages, interest and profit. These shares plays an important role in the economy. In this lesson, we have learnt about scope of macroeconomics, that is theory of income and employment, theory of general price level and inflation, theory of economic growth and development, macro theory of distribution, consumption function, investment function, what is the theory of business cycle. Further, we have learnt as we are learning about economy as a whole, we study about nation as a whole, and we have seen the meaning of macroeconomics, that is it deals with the total employment, national income, national output, total investment, total saving, general price level, business fluctuations, etc. In next video, we will learn about features and importance of macroeconomics. Thank you.